take a look at these word problems, and really the only thing we understand right now is that slope describes the rate of change. So our M describes how the situation is changing. B is that y-intercept, which is that starting point. So it's back to that toothpick. You had to start with one toothpick in order to add 3 on to build each square. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at each of these situations and decide how is the situation changing? What's the rate of change? And then what was the starting point? What amount did we start with? Did we start with 1 toothpick? Did we start with $7? What did we start with? So to learn about water evaporation, you measure the depth of a puddle after a rainstorm. What does it mean to have evaporation, guys? What is water evaporating? Let's make sure we're on the same page with that.
It's steam.
What? It's like steam. The water is disappearing, right, guys? It's evaporating. It's going. The amount is decreasing. Your first measurement, taken right after the rainstorm, was 2.25 inches. You take another measurement and determine that the water is evaporating at a rate of 1/4 inch per hour. Let X represent the number of hours since the storm, and let Y represent the depth of the puddle. Notice, guys, we're still sticking with this idea of these independent and dependent variables. We're measuring the depth, so Y is my dependent variable. We want to get used to that vocabulary. And then X is just the time I'm keeping, so that's my independent. So whatever I'm measuring, that's your dependent, and that's your Y. That's your vertical change. So we want to write a linear equation to model the depth of the puddle. I want to write a Y equals mx plus b equation. So, ladies and gentlemen, does anyone identify what the rate of change is? How is this puddle changing? Well, it's decreasing, right, guys? We know that. How much is it decreasing?
1/4 inch.
1/4 inch per hour. Ladies and gentlemen, usually this inch per hour, feet per second, dollars per week, that's your slope. Think back to what you did in lesson 4.4 2 days ago. You guys had those ordered pairs. Remember, you had to label them with units. So you had dollars per week or feet per inch. Okay, the balloon was feet per minute. When you see that comparing of the 2 units, that's your slope. So we've got Y equals, we've got this 1/4. Is it a positive 1/4 or a negative 1/4?
Negative because it's decreasing 1/4.
Good job, it's decreasing. Ladies and gentlemen, in the word columns, you will seldom see the number negative 1/4. You will see words that say decreasing, declining, the balloon is descending, okay, evaporating. So you have to make sure you add that negative yourself. We then have our X plus, B is our starting point. B is how much we start with. Do we know how much water we start with? No, you just wrote the first word problem equation. Woo woo. Good job.
Hoot, hoot.
All right, so now what we're trying to do is use the equation to estimate the depth of the puddle 7 hours after the storm. This is some nice thinking on my part. So, ladies and gentlemen, how is that equation going to help us? Oh, we could graph it. I'm not giving you any graph paper though. Stuff like that. All right, I'm gonna take it over it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's decreasing 1/4 inch per hour, correct? That's what your slope means. So if I am measuring the storm, or waiting 7 hours after the storm, that means I have to do negative 1/4 times 7. When you know that that rate is 1/4 inch per hour, you need to take that 1/4 and multiply it by the number of hours. But you're also going to have to remember to finish off your equation, guys. You have to add 2.25. You've got to add in that starting point. So remember, if we think back to our toothpicks, I couldn't just do 3 times the number of squares that I wanted. I had to remember to add that 1 toothpick in at the beginning. So I have to remember to add in the original depth of the puddle. So negative 1/4 times 7 is, that's what, negative 1.75, am I correct? And then we add on 2.25. So what is the depth of my puddle?
0.5.
0.5 what? How are we measuring that puddle?
By
Inches, so it'd be 0.5 inches. Does that make sense, guys? Sorry. Does that help a little bit? You can move it up. Quarter inch per hour. If I know the number of hours, I need to plug that in for x. I need to do 1/4 times that, or negative 1/4 times that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the next one. A taxi driver charges a flat fee of $4.50 just for getting in the cab. He then charges you 15 cents per mile in the taxi. Let X represent the length of the taxi ride, and let Y represent the cost of the taxi ride. Okay, once again, we see these dependent and independent variables. The cost depends on the length. So we want to write an equation that models the cost of the taxi ride. So I need Y equals mx plus b. Austin, can you identify the rate of change from that word problem? How is the cost going to change?
It's gonna change
Per mile, and how much per mile? Ladies and gentlemen, there's your slope, 15 cents per mile. We got those keywords, per and each. So that means my M value is 0.15. Is that a positive 0.15, guys? Is your cost going to be increasing or decreasing here? Increasing. So we have Y equals 0.15x. Is there a starting cost? Yeah. He says he's going to charge you a flat rate of $4.50 just for getting in. He takes the time to stop this taxi and pull over. You're going to owe him $4.50.
I think that's pretty reasonable.
There's your equation.
This makes sense.
Does that make sense, guys? All right. So then how am I going to figure out the charge for a 12-mile taxi cab ride?
You
Okay.
just use the meter and say 5.15.
Times it by 0.15. You're right. Garrett, rely on the technology all the time. We hope he has a working meter.
You should know that. That's the job.
No, his job is really to know directions. That would be my first choice if I had a taxi cab ride. I want him to be best at geography. That's the class I want him to have gotten an A in.
If he doesn't
Then
have-
then he can get a B in math. But I'm really more concerned about the geography. So 0.15 times 12. Help me out there, ladies and gentlemen. This is 630, or the total is 630. So this is, I'm gonna guess $1.80 then,
Yeah.
plus 4.50. So we have $6.30. You guys rock at word problems.